What are the advantages of a Biden healthcare initiative versus what Trump has? I mean, and taking his word for it is a hard thing to do. But going forward, where are the key differences?
Well, we don't know what Trump would do on healthcare over the next 4 years. So, what we do know is during the campaign, Trump said that during his first year in office, he would replace Obamacare. That didn't happen, obviously.
Obviously.
Um, the two proposals that Republicans put out would have led to, depending on which estimate you look at, 24 to 32 million people losing healthcare coverage through a combination of it becoming less affordable, reducing access, adding ways for health insurance companies to kick people off, et cetera. Now, a few month and a half ago, Donald Trump said that within 2 weeks he would be signing a new healthcare bill into law. Didn't say what was in it, didn't happen anyway. So I think the problem with comparing to what we would see under Trump is we have no idea. It would probably be nothing. Like the ideas have so far been so bad that he probably would get nothing done.
Yeah.
But if he got the things done that he's tried so far, it would be very, very bad. 25, 32 million people would lose health coverage. What Joe Biden wants to do is to start with Obamacare as the framework, and add a public option that's expected to pull down premium prices industry wide a little bit. And in total, I'm trying to remember the numbers. If you add up all these different things, somewhere around 25 or 30 million more people will get coverage. Part of it would be through additional subsidies. Part of it would be because the public option will be cheaper and people will be able to afford it. Biden has talked about being in favor of lowering the Medicare age from 65 to 60, or it might have even been 55. So, you add up all of this stuff and about 30 million more people will get health care. It's not Bernie's plan. But if you say, David, listen, the two options are 30 million people lose healthcare or 30 million people gain healthcare, that's a delta of 60 million. I know which one I'm going with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And is there a place for caution or criticism in the amount of influence that the health insurance and pharmaceutical companies have on policy and lawmaking?
Of course, absolutely, yeah. I mean, listen, we some countries don't have for-profit health insurance. Health insurance companies are nonprofits; they're run almost like a public utility in some sense. So, of course, yeah, and that applies no matter who's president.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I feel what a libertarian would say, and I've had libertarians on this show, is that would stifle innovation. That one of the greatest things about having a for-profit healthcare system is that we are more innovative than other countries. Is there any real truth to that, or is that something that's just another fantasy that's fun to believe?
Well, much like with a lot of these libertarian fantasies, it's everything is shades of gray, right?
Yes.
So it is true that there are aspects of how things are organized here that lead to innovation, as it's called. At the same time, there are countries that are organized in other ways that have also had innovations. I mean, you look at China, you look at Cuba, you look at Russia, those are countries that are organized in other ways. They have the power of the government deciding, hey, we're doing this thing. And then they go and they do it. Now, I'm not a socialist. I'm not a communist. I'm not advocating for those systems. I'm merely pointing out that these black white ideas often fall very short. But I think the more interesting conversation is if in the end the innovation is happening at a for-profit company, it's happening because of government, which is there to establish intellectual property law and enforce it. It's there because of the US Postal Service and public schools, which a whole bunch of the employees who are doing the innovation went to. I mean, this is why we call them libertarian fantasies, because they ignore that, okay, cool, Jeff Bezos did X, but he did it with 50,000 employees educated in public school, mailing stuff around with the US Postal Service, with contract law enforced by the judiciary. I mean, it's like.
I love that take. That's hilarious. Now, the libertarianism is it's a fun rabbit hole to go down, and it is really interesting, but it seems almost like it would work in Oklahoma if Oklahoma was a sovereign country. with however many, 30 million people maybe. And it has legs, but at scale, it just does not hold water at the
I don't
level.
even know that it has legs. I mean, it's like what you basically end up with is, instead of government and sort of consensus being the governing body, you have whoever gets the most guns the quickest. And
Yeah.
I don't know that that's better, right? I just don't know that we're actually better off if that's the case. And the reality is that there are certain things that are too big for anybody but government to regulate effectively. The idea that, well, this town is regulated in this way and this town is regulated this other way because these people had the AR-15s and nobody else did, and eventually that's sort of like what it comes down to. There are certain things like multi-billion-dollar corporations. Really, only government can effectively regulate them across a country or across the world. That's the reality of the globalized planet we live on.